Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by Arvin, the Adam Meakin, 10th Man Rising, Neil Constantino, Refracted Curvature, Brian's Logic, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Yeah, I like it.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Whole panel. Nice.
Hi.
Good afternoon, good morning,
Good morning, good afternoon.
wherever you may be.
Are we going to have another 6-hour show today, Nathan?
Well, no, the PC hasn't crashed today, so I don't need to extensively test it live, so I doubt it. It seems all good now. I was up till 2 in the morning testing it, but I'm pretty sure I've got there. You get to the limits, you test, you think you've got it right. You go, well, what if I nudge it up 1 notch? Then it crashes, then you test again, and so it goes on. But I am right at the end of that process now, which I'm very pleased of. Anyway, enough about boring computers. I hate them. I could kick them in the air. I don't know if you know this, my folks used to run a computer business, and they offered it to me when I was just, I'd left home and I was, primed to take over a business. But all three of us, my sister and my brother, all turned it down. None of us wanted to deal with computers, having grown up with them. And I still feel the same way now. I don't want to know about RAM. I don't want to know about how overclocking works so I can underclock my CPU to stop it overheating and things like that. But I do. As long as the computer runs, which it does now, I'm not going to hopefully ever have to talk about it again. I've talked about it a lot simply because it's something I'm doing all the time and have been for about the last 5 months. But that's such is life with a new computer. For some, me. Anyway.
So wait a second. Hold on. So we thought we were being crafty and we were keeping you there, but you were there deliberately to test the computer.
Yeah, what I typically do, or have been doing in the last 5 months, not the last 5 months, but the last several months, let's just say in this regard, is doing either a members-only live stream or just putting something on that's an intense piece of software, that's a game, and then just letting the computer run whilst recording and live streaming to an unlisted video. So it is actually going out live, but nobody's got the link, therefore no one's watching. So it's running as per a normal show. And what I'll typically do to stress test the computer is do that for 3 to 4 hours, knowing that the shows can be 3 to 4 hours long. So that's what I typically do, and it's incredibly boring. But once I've got it in a quick sort of series of events, when it crashed yesterday, I quickly went to the BIOS, made the settings because I've got notes. If it crashes, change these settings. So I quickly grabbed my iPad, went to my notes section. What do I need to change? So I went into the BIOS, changed it, fired at the show, got it running, and then from that point, effectively, I'm testing also, aren't I? Right? So I just let it run like I would if there was no one watching, but there was people watching, which is great. Everyone gets to experience it, and the crew's here. So why not have a discussion for 3 hours, or 4 hours, or 4.5 hours, as the show ended up being? Because that's a perfect opportunity to not have to sit for that 4.5 hours after the show's ended. So, yeah, I'm going to take that opportunity when it arises, and if that benefits the audience and they all get an extra long live show, you can check it out. Yesterday's live show is 2.5 hours. The uncut and after show is about 4.5 hours. And it does happen. That's why people pester for 4 more hours, because there is often a reason to have such a long show. God, this is a boring intro for anybody who's not used to this particular show. Anyway, let's ask some housekeeping questions. Any evidence of Earth curve?
What's that? The horizon?
No, the horizon was debunked as being the physical geometric limitation to your view at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet based on a sphere Earth radius of 3959 back in 2020.
Well,
Yeah, but
according to... Sorry, Mia, go on.
No, I was just going to say, but they're still talking about boats going over the horizon and things disappearing at a certain distance. So I don't think they're catching up.
Well, according to one, yeah.
It's me. I was going to do a couple of quick shout outs. So shout out to Godzilla 37. He says, better be a long show, not like yesterday's 20-minute stream. Yeah, the first one that crashed was 20 minutes. Then you got a further subsequent 2.5 hours. But yes, I appreciate the support. Really do appreciate the support at the moment. I have to stop. When you're in a bit of poverty, you can't but help yourself, like instinctively e-begging. But it's in bad taste if I do it too much. If I moan about having a lack of heating. Sorry, has anyone got those violins? Where's that button? Oh, I'll do it later. I'll put it in the edit. I've got no heating and no water, and life's really hard, and I'm really poor. So if you want to smash the PayPal link, you feel free to do so. That works so much better with the violins. Anyway, shout out to Retro Bill. Really appreciate the support also. Nathan, your skin, here's a few quid. I'm sat here knackered, waiting for your ace blokes to tear a strip off some dodgy numpty tossers. It's beautiful, man. That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you for the super chat, lads. Really appreciate it. Go ahead, Brian. It was me. I'll cut you off, so go ahead.
Geez, I wasn't going to say anything really mattered. But whereas Wally and Wolfie and all them, they were trying to claim the horizon was geometric again lately. Literally. It's unbelievable.
It's because I don't pay close enough attention. You'd think after me going to Ruhif, right? How's that geometric horizon working out for you? Yeah, where's his response to that? He hasn't got one, right? What's he going to say? Yeah, I have got a geometric horizon. Oh, right, no Atmo day. Yeah, there's no response to it. It came over the moment they said the horizon was refracted. They just didn't realise it. And then the moment they need to appeal to their geometry, that's a straight line tangent to the physical limitation Earth curve edge at the horizon, and they haven't got one, but they start using it, you go, excuse me, sorry, what happened to, always refraction, flurfer? Why are you drawing a straight line, may I ask? How's that geometric horizon working out for you, Ruhif? Good? Good? Yeah, right. Try and pay attention, whoever it was you just listed, McBuggerita. Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I'll share the image now that they were trying to claim was clear globe proof, right? 1 second, now I'll share it for you.
Morning, guys.
Hey, Chocolate.
What's up, Chocolate? I said there's a full panel.
Yo.
I was going to say, but where's Chocolate?
This is what they were trying to claim. This is from Myrtle Beach, right? I'll actually go it so you can see it all a second. Myrtle Beach, and this little red apple looking thing, that's the afterburner from a rocket that launched somewhere halfway through January, I think, from Cape Canaveral. It's over 365 miles away, right? And they said they couldn't see this afterburner until 93 seconds in. Now, I destroyed that whole claim, but it doesn't matter, right? But I show that this is in front of the horizon. And it wouldn't matter if it's behind the horizon because the horizon's not physical. But they were trying to claim the horizon was geometric again. What are these people at? And the rocket itself was like 0.009 degrees. That was its size. Like, you'd never see the rocket. Even with a good camera, you wouldn't be able to see the rocket. Like, this is afterburner. They don't know where the rocket is. The rocket is above that somewhere. They don't know where it is. And this was their clear. Look at this blurry photo. Clear globe proof. And when I pointed out to them, I'll show you, all right? 1 second.
While you're doing that, shout out to Derek, who says, hope this helps, Nathan. Yeah, damn right it does. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it.
So that red dot, Brian, on the horizon is proof that that thing's in space.
It's supposedly proof that the horizon is geometric. This is what they're trying to do.
Well, they're more than welcome to that claim, aren't they?
Yeah, look. Now I show. Look that it's in front of their horizon, even within their stupid photograph, right?
Whoa! You've just hold on. You've just twirled a few knobs and turned this into a black swan. That's pretty cool.
That's right. Yeah. That's what I did. I changed it into a black swan because I knew what they would say. Right? They'd say that's washed out and blurry, right? Which they did, right?
So
But-
we've got 356 miles, Bri.
Yeah.
So we call it a 400 or around 400 then, where the horizon is.
Well, maybe so. Yeah.
I'll do
I have a
some
more
math.
clear picture than this. I made a better job of. This is just a fast job. But yeah, very likely it could be up to 400, the 400 miles away. Now, the thing about it is what they said. Now, everything I did, no matter what I did, it showed the same thing: the horizon behind the afterburn. But what was funny is because I know that the image itself is not a great image. It's obviously is blurry and a bit washed out. I'm not going to say it's not because that'd be dishonest. But what was funny is that their response was, that's a washed out blurry image. I was like, I came back to him, but that's supposed to be your clear CLEAR globe proof. What? Are you crazy? Right, I didn't change the fact that the horizon behind it. But the point is that it's a black swan, but all they could do was attack it on being blurry. But that was the very image that they were supposed to, if I just reset it. This is their very image that they were trying to claim was clear globe proof. They were back to claiming the horizon. I asked them several times, are you claiming the horizon is geometric? Do you realize the horizon is physical? Or not physical, optical, I said. And they wouldn't admit to it being optical. They were trying to claim a geometric horizon again. Wolfie, where's Wally? This guy Petey. There's a load of them. They're all in on it.
I thought we've never seen the geometric horizon. Would it expect to see the geometric horizon? What happened to that?
Geometric horizon only exists in the maths.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
What happened?
Until they
none,
need
that's
to
still the case.
claim it physically blocks something like a rocket, and then it immediately becomes physically a hill blocking your view of this rocket behind the hill. I mean, it doesn't matter if we show them that the hills move behind things it's supposed to be obscuring, in a way that hills don't behave. They'll revert back to, we've got a tangent point geometric claim here. There's a hill in the way of this rocket. Now, we debunked it in 2020. It's Black Swan all over again. You only need one example of a hill moving its location to demonstrate that it's not a physical hill. Hills don't move behind the things they obscure. That will never, ever, ever happen in physical terms. The moment it does happen, you can say, it's optical then. Yeah, that's correct. Therefore, not geometric, not Earth curve. Another shout out. I got loads of big super chats. Really appreciate it, guys. Shout out to Euphoria Blue. Effie woke me up to not only the shape, but my purpose, hidden history, and the matrix around me. Fe did it. And you, gentlemen, keep the flame burning. Cheers from Toronto. Wow, thank you very much indeed for the super chat and the sentiment. Also, shout out
That's
to D
awesome.
Rose, who's also hit me up on PayPal. Typically, I don't shout out people who hit me up on PayPal. I like to personally respond via an email or via the PayPal messaging service. But I will thank D Rose because he noted it in the chat, in the live stream chat, and he's just given me a super chat as well. Token of appreciation of your resilience, zeal, and selflessness to serve the sacrifice, enlightening of others, of true science and the world we exist in. Truth, best to your efforts and integrity. Check PayPal. I won't do it immediately, but thank you so much. I will send you an email, and anybody else who sends me a PayPal, so I badly need it. Yeah, and I'm just going to offer my excuses immediately for all the eBay giving I've been doing. Hopefully it won't last that long. Anyway, thank you very much, gentlemen. Really appreciate the support.
Just Bri, before you move on, just because of the black
Yeah.
swan you claimed, I'll just do the maths for us. I'm going to give him a 10-foot observer height. Can't tell, but I'm assuming it's at the beach that they're filming this. But let's give him 10.
Sorry, do you need Brian's screenshot back up?
No, just mine. There's just the formula on
just your maths,
the
okay.
rework formula.
Yeah, I've got three things
Right
up. That's
from the
all.
black
Okay,
swan.
go
So
ahead.
if we do that backwards and assume in their claim that the horizon is the leading edge, we've taken that leading edge as 400 miles. Let's square that and multiply it by 2640, then divide that by 10. Gives us an R value of 42,240,000 miles for the new R value. I think that's a record that they've delivered us.
42 million. That's halfway to the sun in the heliocentric model, then.
240,000 miles of R value.
Wow.
Some
Well done, boys.
bozos.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's too biggy.
If you can share my
Yeah.
screen
Earth
again in a
too biggie.
second, Nathan.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, if you just share my screen again, if you don't mind. I should be sharing.
Yep.
What was the distance that made Neil say wow just now?
Half the
What
way
was
to
that
the
distance?
sun in the heliocentric model, something like 42 million miles.
So,
That's adorable.
Drop in
Sorry,
the
Brian.
ocean. Go ahead, Brian.
no, but I just shown here. This is, no matter what I did with the levels, it kept on showing the afterburn in front of the horizon. No matter what I do, it just won't be behind the horizon. This was supposed to be their glow proof. Bringing down the exposure, nothing changes it.
Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because you can't go below the horizon. A limitation to the resolution of your view will never, ever have something go below it. So if you can see this, matter of fact, it's above the horizon. And if you're missing parts from the bottom, you can appeal to the Rayleigh criterion in terms of how the diffraction limit would obscure that from view against the deck through limitations of angle. Now, if like this, you can physically never show it behind the horizon, that's their claim. If they're like, it's too blurry, you're the one claiming it. We've just taken your image like you used to do, but how the tables have turned. How we used to come up with these images to prove that it's not a physical limitation to your view, or for some flat earthers, we can see too far. But meanwhile, now the tables have turned and they're having to appeal to us and their audiences to say, no, we can still show the horizon's a geometric hill in the way of this dot. It's really clear evidence. Until we, adjust the contrast level and show it's not behind the horizon.
I would like to point out the 430 million mile radius or whatever that was would still be below surface level in the math.
Correct. It will always be below surface level. That's the point, isn't it? What we're literally seeing can only and is only ever above the surface level and cannot dip below it. It's not going to go into the ground. The assertion that there's a hill in the way for it to go behind has been debunked. Right, we're just going to cover the one housekeeping question today because it's been dragged out a little bit and we're up to 18 minutes into the live show. 90 people watching though, a lot better than when we were covering quantum mechanics. What are we covering today? Oh, joy! Quantum gravity! How quantum mechanics ruins Einstein. Don't all leave! Stop it! Come back! Come back!
Yeah,
we're
I've got
going
an
to
appointment to have my toenails pulled out, so I'm going to have to shoot.
Oh, really?
By connecting a force we experience on Earth with the force that controls the movement of heavenly bodies.
Gravity's not a force. Now, you can think of it as a force, but it's not a force. Just to quote Professor Brian Cox, there isn't really a force of gravity at all. End quote. Professor Brian Cox. What are you babbling about? Force that controls
literally not a
movement of
force.
heavenly bodies. What a load of nonsense. Go on.
Oh, I was just saying, it's literally not a force.
Yes, that's another Musa quote. It's literally not a force. End quote, George Musa. So this video is Arvin Ash, and we're going to share his link because obviously you're going to all, from the chat, let him know what a wonderful chap he is and how grateful you are for his YouTube material and how you've subscribed as a result of Nathan Oakley 1980 channel sending you. So let him know. I mean, if you happen to mention that we've responded to his video, that's also wonderful, given that he's got 750,000 subscribers. Wow, big channel. Cool. Excellent stuff.
That force, of course, is gravity. And he expressed this analytically in a remarkable equation that is still used today, the law of universal gravitation.
It's not a law if it's been shown to be untrue, and it was 108 years ago. What are you talking about? There is no law of gravity. Laws are descriptions of things that occur in nature always. This never occurs.
This equation explained the movement of planets, and it remains very accurate even today under most circumstances.
Really? We can violate it by just showing how gas works.
But it had a few
Under
problems.
most circumstances.
Yeah, laws don't, unlike a little bit Weasley, like most of the time, this law of nature applies. No, you're misinterpreting what law means. In this regard, it means occurs always.
One of which
Darn
was the
helium
idea
balloons are lawbreakers.
Yeah, they're the exception to the law that occurs always. Except then it doesn't, but it's still a law, even though it was debunked 108 years ago by bending Einsteinian pseudo-Riemannian force space-time.
of action at a
Can
distance.
Yeah, you can.
I ruin this video on you?
Yeah.
Well, as long as they're adhering to the two-way speed of light calculation, they can never claim a force.
That's it. We're done. Let's go. Get your coat.
Because the force is instantaneous, Neil. It doesn't have a rate. The force they claim, it doesn't have a rate. It's instantaneous. Whereas,
Listen,
go on,
sorry,
Chocolate.
that's true. So listen, a very famous guy once said, we must consider Newtonian gravity as a force. Doesn't mean it really is one, but we don't necessarily have to work at the really is level. George Muser. Wow.
I thought you were going to break into the shaman. Famous philosopher once said, naughty, naughty, very naughty.
Newton had trouble accepting. This was the idea that a massive object could exert a force instantaneously to another massive object at a distance without ever touching it. Later in 1859, Newton's laws could not explain the rate of precession of Mercury.
Explain? Laws don't explain anything. Laws are descriptions only. Explanations come via the scientific method when you're talking about natural phenomena. So if we're talking about a natural phenomena, you can establish the cause of the effect, that's a phenomena, something occurring, through the scientific method. Laws merely describe things that occur always, not this.
The way its elliptical orbit rotates around...
Elliptical orbit? Why? Because Huygens, was it Huygens or Kepler came up with the ellipse, the orbit? It might have been Kepler. So Kepler's elliptical orbits? Why? Because he just said so? I'm thinking no.
The sun and is not fixed. Newton
says Kepler
explained gravity as an innate property of objects, a constant instantaneous force that could act over long distances.
No, you can defy that with gas behavior. See, gas isn't attracting other gas. Quite the contrary. They have elastic collisions. If they actually happen to interact with one another, they immediately bounce off without any loss of energy. So, no, you can defy this utter horse crap with gas behavior.
250 years.
Newton also said that anybody that believed what he just said did not have a competent faculty of reasoning.
I was just pulling up the quote.
just to stick with what he just said there. Over the past few days, we've had you just highlighted again difference between explain and describe. Just these last words were Newton explained gravity as an innate property. Did he explain it or just describe it as?
Described it.
Surely an explanation. Yeah.
Did you want to give that quote in full, Chocolate, or shall I carry on for now?
Yeah, I can do it. Excuse me if there's a little bit of noise. So, Isaac Newton, the guy that this Newtonian gravity is named for. Quote, it is inconceivable that inanimate root matter should, without the mediation of something else, which is not material, operate upon and affect other matter without mutual contact, as it must be if gravitation in the sense of Epicurus be essential and inherent in it. And this is one reason why I desire you would not ascribe innate gravity to me, that gravity should be innate, inherent, and essential to matter, so that one body may act upon another at a distance through a vacuum, without the mediation of anything else, by and through which their action and force may be conveyed from one to another, is to me so great an absurdity that I believe no man who has in philosophical matters a competent faculty of thinking can ever fall into it. Gravity must be caused by an agent acting constantly according to certain laws, but whether this agent be material or immaterial, I have left open to the consideration of my readers. End quote.
Thank you very much.
Years later, in 1916, Einstein changed this paradigm with the publication
I thought it was a law. So when Einstein comes along and changes it in 1916, it's a change of paradigm. Hold on. Laws of nature don't get changed. They don't suddenly stop being descriptions of things that occur always because they occur always. But when Einstein comes along, it's a change in paradigm. That's an interesting turn of phrase, I would say.
of the general theory of relativity.
It's not a theory. Theories come after scientific experimentation based on a hypothesis after asking why something has happened in nature. And you suppose the cause to go on to vary it to see if it causes it. Then you get a theory if your presumed cause actually caused the effect. This isn't that. This use of the word theory is a bastardization of actual science. It's stealing valor from the method.
Solve the riddle of Mercury's precession.
No. There is no riddle when it comes to Mercury's precession because the precession is an assumption of the Kepler-based orbital ellipse. So you're trying to explain it within the heliocentric model that's been laid out to you by men. That's not how the world actually works. That's not how the sky works. It's how it's been described by men and how they've pondered the complexity of the maths that might ascribe descriptions to these lights in the sky. Precession has got a lot of begging the question fallacies attached to it.
And explained that gravity was not a mysterious force acting at a distance in the background of space and time, but was a...
It wasn't a force acting in the back of space and time. So he's explaining how it doesn't work within his new pseudo-Ramonian force-space-time bending model when he says it's not a force. No, you can debunk that not with fourth-dimensional space-time as this controlled narrative from the church would like us to do. We can debunk it by showing it doesn't happen, not by substituting in a fourth-dimensional space-time as Einstein did.
A result of a bending of the background itself.
Sorry, the background being time. Like, show me time. Because this is a diagram of a cross-hatched material. That's what this is. This is not time. Time does not look like this. So do you want to show me time because this diagram isn't cutting it for me? Yeah, this isn't a demonstration of time. This shows me a representation of something three-dimensional on a two-dimensional screen. I see no fourth-dimensional space-time when you bend some crosshatches.
The curvature of...
Nathan, just on what he's doing there. He's saying there's a problem with the orbit of Mercury. There's not a problem, and it's his retrograde motion. And what they can't do is align that to the heliocentric model. That's the problem they've got, that the orbit of Mercury doesn't fit. In a Newtonian way, can't explain what's going on with its orbit. So the way they resolve it is to bend space-time so that the orbit fits in if you use relativity, which is to, I think, alter the fabric so that its strange, nonsensical orbit that, according to Newtonian, can be explained by bending a space-time within the perihelion of Mercury's orbit.
So it's meant
only required to fit into, remember, it's only needed all of this because Mercury's orbit is contrary to the heliocentric model. It shouldn't work.
So their description of how they say the lights are operating with orbital motions, ellipses, and all the things described doesn't comport with how they actually observe Mercury's behaviour, or Venus, or whatever they're observing. So what do? Well, they make an alteration to the way the model's described because it's a problem. No, likewise, when you see the moon and the sun above the horizon and there's an eclipse, the Seleninian, that's not impossible. It's very much observed. It just doesn't work with the heliocentric model. Not impossible, just destroys a way of believing you are on a sphere.
Well, like another astrophysicist says, if you encounter a problem such as this, just change the model.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very cheeky for them to call it the impossible eclipse when it's, how could it be impossible
when
if
it's
actually happening?
In your face.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Space-time. It was a new paradigm that could explain more things.
Paradigms, laws, as they were prior described as by you, don't ever explain anything. They are our descriptions of phenomena that occur always. That's what they are. So what? It's a better way of explaining things. No, descriptions aren't explanations. And Einstein's superseding a quote-unquote law. Something that's supposed to occur always that now needs better explanation. It never occurred to begin with.
Today, 100 years after Einstein's publication, we find some holes in Einstein's theory as well.
Shocking. Yeah. You're going to find holes when you've got a fourth dimensional space-time bending, because time's not something that you can bend as a fabric. Yeah, time's a conception. It's not a medium.
Well, such as its inability to explain the singularity.
But what is it always with the inability to explain things? Put them through the scientific method and you'll come up with an empirical explanation.
Inside black holes and the Big Bang.
Oh, black holes? What are they? The thing about space, right? Your colour of space is that it's black. And the thing about a black hole, your basic black hole colour, is that it's black.
One of the biggest pursuits in physics is the attempt to find a better theory.
No. Theories in physics come after experimentation. They have an empirical outcome to a test they've done, and then they offer the theory based on the empirical outcome. So no, that is definitely not what is going on when it comes to physics and physicists.
Quantum theory of gravity.
No. The quantum theory of gravity is bastardizing and stealing valor from actual science when it comes to quantum mechanics and incorporating it into a pseudo-Ramonian, non-physical fourth dimension that is used to describe, having superseded the law that didn't obviously do it properly when it describes something that never happened when mass attracts mass. So no, this is not science, this is not theory.
In order to understand quantum gravity, though,
why do we need to understand it? If it's science and it's got a theory behind it, we've already got empirical evidence to show it. There's no questioning it, there's no believing it, there's no understanding it. It's just, that's how it is. That's if you've got science, that is, which you haven't.
You have to first understand.
There's no need to change it afterwards.
Yeah, you can't change it. Violates the law of non-contradiction to alter something that has been scientifically validated, hence the term empirical is attached to it. If you validate that A causes B, the only alternative in the hypothesis, as confusing as this terminology is, the alternative is the null. Let's just rephrase that. The other side of the hypothesis is the null. The other side to the alternative. It's getting a bit confusing. Anyway, if A does cause B, the null hypothesis, which sat alongside it before it was experimented upon, tested, was A does not cause B. Well, once you've shown that A does cause B, it can't simultaneously not cause B. So you've only got the one outcome at the end of the experiment. There's no, well, you need to understand it. No, what's to understand? A caused B. Do I need to understand that it didn't cause it as well?
Sorry.
Go on, Neil.
So once it's scientifically validated, that's it, correct?
Yes. Empirical. Whoops.
General relativity. However, the mathematics of general relativity is so difficult that even a genius like Einstein could not easily derive it. And
he came up with it.
There are still papers being written today on specific solutions to these.
You don't need solutions to equations in physics because there aren't any. Physics deals with the physical. Like, this is happening in nature. Why did it happen? I think this caused it. So I'm going to vary that which I assume caused it and see if it does cause it or not. Where's the equations? There aren't any. This isn't physics.
Equations. I'm going to try to explain those equations to you in...
Why? Do we need them? Are they going to affect my physical reality? Just show me time. Yeah, those are in the equations, right? Time's in there. Space-time, it's one of the dimensions. Show it me. Then I'll look at your equations. Or it's like you can't show me the concept of time. No, you can't, can you? But you'll show me the maths for it. No. I need to see this fourth dimension first. If you can't show it me, I'm not going to accept any equations for it.
Intuitively and
He said he
visually.
was going to explain a descriptive language. Like what? Somebody needs to punch him in the head.
To give you an idea of what the math is trying to say, and I hope...
What the math is trying to say, the math is a language. But math isn't trying to say anything. That's a reification fallacy. You can use maths as language to describe something. But that's all it'll do. Describe.
Hope that this will help you better understand quantum gravity.
There's no such thing as quantum gravity. In case anybody doesn't realize this already, this is nonsense. There is no scientific evidence for quantum gravity. It's a bit like saying terrestrial refraction. It stops being refraction. This stops being quantum. It enters into the fourth dimensional realm of pseudo four space-time. So it's nothing to do with quantum, and it's definitely not scientifically valid.
That explanation is coming up.
So that explanation? No, it won't be explaining anything. It'll be describing something with maths. And maybe we'll find some holes for it 112 years later.
Right now.
Complex questions explained simply. Really? I've asked how time's shown to be physical. I wonder if you'll explain that.
Before I get into general relativity and quantum gravity, let me tell
It doesn't exist. We've already covered that.
you part of my inspiration for doing this video.
Your inspiration was because you're a heliocentrist.
I watched a fascinating 2-episode documentary
Called it.
on Magellan TV, today's sponsor, called The Amazing World of Gravity.
The world of gravity. Gravity's not a force. It's a conception. It's a fourth dimension. Something that isn't physical but is claimed to be a fabric you can bend. But you now think it's a world of gravity. No, that's the reason you're making this video, because you're a stout heliocentrist.
It's not only in 4K, but also hosted by one of my favorite educators, Jim Al-Khalili. Magellan is a new type of science and special offer right now. Look at Newton's equation for gravitation and Einstein's equation for general relativity. We see a remarkable correlation. For one thing, Newton's gravitational constant is present in both equations. In Newton's
Are you having me on? We're going to compare and correlate various different descriptions in mathematics. So where's the physics?
equation,
Said it's
we have a
wonderful correlation.
Between two descriptions in maths?
Yeah, correlation isn't causation, though.
No. But I can correlate two things that physically occur next to each other and show you that they actually coincided on a timeline so that you could understand it with a description with maths. That's the timeline. Yeah. But that I could show to physically have happened. Look, these two things. Look, the concert was going on and they happened to sing with or without you as the car crashed into the stage. Just a coincidence, but the two things physically coincided at the same time they happened, right? Everyone witnessed them physically happen at the same time. Yeah? There's nothing physical about anything being shown on screen. But he's telling you about how closely they correlate. What? The descriptions of non-physical things happening. Mass attracting mass versus pseudo-4 space. So what?
on the left
I
side
think that's a
created by
very big point. So,
Go on.
I was just gonna say, I think that's a very big point. I'm sorry for the noise in the back. They're working. That's a big point to concentrate on, because that's how they get a lot of the mainstream public that doesn't, they just correlate different things and say, well, yeah, because we see this happens.
by a mass on the right side. In Einstein's equation, we have the analog of force, the curvature of space-time, on the left side. It has two.
Could you show us time? You haven't shown us time yet. But you're saying that in an equation we've got time and it's bending. Now, I didn't even get to ask you if you could show me it bending. We didn't get to see it. So how are we going to see it bending for it to be in this maths?
Components that describe the curvature and how distances in the curvature are determined.
The distances in curvature in time. You think that the time is somehow a path that you can travel? No, it isn't. Yeah, our descriptions of time aren't matter or material and cannot be bent for you to put them into this maths equation.
This is the analog of force described by
Why do you keep saying this is analog of? So what are you alluding to when you say it's the analog?
Newton. I want to be careful here because in general relativity, gravity is not a force within the background of space-time, like it is in Newton's equation, but it is.
No. You think that Newton had gravity as a force in the background of space-time before it was invented? Are you having me on? Newton hadn't got the slightest idea about space-time. It hadn't been conjured in Einstein's mind's eye yet. But yet you think his force exists within it? Au contraire, you complete clown. What did he do? Divine the thoughts of a man from the future? What an idiot!
is a curvature of the space-time background itself. In other words,
Sorry, the background itself, show it me. Let's have a look at this bending time background. Can we see it? Oh, we can maths it? No, we're talking about physics. The physical, not the conceptual.
gravity does not cause the curvature of space-time.
What space-time? For gravity to be causing it. Show me it as a phenomena so that we can claim this causal relationship. That's science. That's specifically what the scientific method deals with. Cause and effect. But you're going to say that gravity causes the curvature of space-time. Show me space-time. Show me it bending so I can class it as a phenomena. So then I can put gravity, when you show me that, through the method to see if it causes it. So I can empirically validate it. Go on, whoever that was.
That was me. Point of order, Your Honor. What's your time hack right now for this video?
3 minutes, 59 seconds.
Hit J twice.
And the curvature are determined. This is the analog of force described by Newton. I want to be.
He has supposedly Newton's universal law of gravitation up top there. F equals gm1 over m2 over d2. That's not Newton's universal law of gravitation.
Is that
you
from
know why?
CV Boys?
That G's not in the Principia. So I don't know what he's talking about. And when he compared it to his G over there in Einstein's equation, that's horseshit. Got it? That's it.
There's no G in the Principia, correct?
No, there's no G. No, that's not Newton's G up there. You're not going to find that in the Principia, I'll tell you that much.
Right.
Be careful here because in general relativity, gravity is not a force within the background of space-time like it is in Newton's equation, but it is a curvature.
He just said it. Yeah, it's because we ran around. Said that it's a force in the background of space-time like in Newton's equation. All right. It wasn't in Newton's equation. There was no space-time in Newton's equation. Bloody idiot.
Of the space-time background itself. In other words,
what space-time background? Show us.
Gravity does not cause the curvature of space-time.
Sounds like a cause and effect relationship that could go through the scientific method to me if we had a phenomena and if gravity was actually manipulatable by me, the researcher. No, definitely isn't.
It is the curvature of space-time.
Oh, is it? So when I asked you to show it me, you, supposing that gravity does not cause curvature of space-time, was space-time. Profound. I'd just rather you showed it me. Then I could put it through the method myself.
The right side of the general relativity equation tells us.
All right, we're not going to get to see space-time, ladies and gentlemen. We're just throwing some maths up again.
About the mass-energy content. This is represented by something called the mass-energy momentum tensor. It's a source of the curvature.
Oh, really? The tensor is the source of the curvature of space-time. Show us. When did this get put through the method? Where's the hypothesis? Go on, John.
Wait, what did he say was the source? I'm sorry. What did he say was the source of the curvature, which is what he just described as the curvature of space-time is gravity, right? So what was the source of that?
The mass energy content. This is represented by something called the mass energy momentum tensor.
It's the mass energy momentum tensor. It's the source of the curvature.
It's a source of the curvature.
What's mass? I don't get it.
He hasn't defined it.
Does he know what he's saying?
He hasn't defined it.
How does maths cause something?
We don't know what it is. He hasn't defined it.
In the context of these equations, think of a tensor as a multidimensional array of mathematical components.
So a multiple dimensional array of conceptual descriptive components. Nothing physical in it then. So we can think of it as being maths as opposed to physics. Okay, we'll do that.
So to break down the fancy name that he just gave this thing, maths actually causes the curvature of space-time, which is gravity. Okay.
This
That's
is
right.
really not his level.
Shout out to James Richard, who says, so crazy how these heliocentrists smile into the camera as they lie to deceive the viewer, and in the manner as if they are talking to children. Yeah, he's proper smug, like most of them, but I don't think that's him lying, James. I do appreciate your support, by the way. Thank you very much for the super chat. No, you've got to be careful. You can't divine his intent. You don't know if he's lying. You know, is he acting intentionally and maliciously when he, as you propose, deceives his audience? I don't know that's the case. There's only one category of people that I can ascribe that to, and that's astronauts. They know they're not in a sky vacuum. The sky vacuum isn't real. I can automatically say that when they say they're in it, they're lying. But that's probably the only exception. Can anybody else in the arena that we're in, Flat Earth debate, name another demonstrable, obvious, can't be disagreed with, provable liar in this regard? Can we name one other?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Wolfie 6020.
Danny
Jesse Kozlowski.
Faulkner. Danny Faulkner.
No, I wouldn't say Danny Faulkner, and I wouldn't say Neil deGrasse Tyson either. I had another one from Brian. What was that one, Brian?
I said Wolfie 6020 and Jesse Kozlowski.
You think those delusional Muppets are liars? I don't know. What's your evidence for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've proven that Jesse Kozlowski is a liar. I have proven that without a doubt that he fabricated evidence. And Wolfie is also a liar, as he said he does things that he doesn't do.
Being a liar and still believing it's a ball would be the summary of those. Yeah. But I think the point, Nathan, that they can still be genuine in their statement that they think it's a ball still. What Nathan's saying is, because fundamentally, because none of them have actually done anything that fundamentally it is a straight lie about the nature of the Earth. Whereas an astronaut, he's gone there, supposedly, which we know he hasn't, and he's saying he has. So he has to be lying because he's saying he's done something he hasn't done. Whereas all the others just believe it's a ball still, and then lie about it to support their belief.
Yeah, D-Rose.
Okay, I got you. So you're saying if you're indoctrinated and you haven't disproved it by doing your own research or experiencing that thing, then you kind of get a waiver from being a outright liar because you're just following orders. Whereas an astronaut knows that they were underwater or whatever, and then they lie and say they went there. I just thought I gave the credit of the doubt that Mitchie Cuckoo and Faulkner, they know from going to school, unless they were indoctrinated, the same thing that they're indoctrinating the public audience through their platform, that they should know the law of thermodynamics, like Danny does, like D Rose does, the dumb. I'm considering myself the dumb regular guy. I don't know this stuff, but I'm learning this stuff. And then when I look it up, I realize, oh, that was right. So why can't Danny Faulkner do that? That's why I think he's a liar as well, because he comes across like he's this and that and the other astrophysicist, whatever. Him and Neil, they know.
Not doing your due diligence isn't the same as being a liar. James Richards also says, thank you again for the super chat. He knows it doesn't adhere to the scientific method, yet claims it's science, thus lying. I don't know that's the case. I mean, you might know better than I, James, but I don't know that he does know what the scientific method is for me to claim that. But I appreciate you doubling down on it. Thanks for the super chat.
Well, let me back up the two people I've named out. I'll start with Jesse Kozlowski. I have a video on my channel I put out there about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. And it involves Jesse Kozlowski and two other characters. One of them is another claim surveyor, where I prove without a shadow of a doubt exactly what they did with their maths and how they fabricated diverging zeniths. So it's fabricating evidence. Anyone who fabricates evidence is someone who knows they don't have any. And that's what he did. He's acclaimed retired geodetic surveyor. Now, Wolfie, I have a load of stuff from Wolfie, but Wolfie, and I have a load of stuff from Kozlowski besides that, loads of stuff from the past. But with Wolfie, I have a comment only from very recently. I posted it into Skype, where Wolfie said that he doesn't need to fly an angle below horizontal to fly around the globe. Now, that's not someone who's delusional. That is someone who's straight out talking rubbish and knows it.
On the surveyor thing, though, are you saying they were intelligent enough to come up with the idea on how to do the mathematics for surveying? Because I'm under the impression that they were taught that.
No, if you look at the video online I have on my channel, you will see I go through exactly what they do, and I pull apart what they do to fabricate diverging zeniths. It's complete fraud, and there's 2 surveyors involved and another well-known member of the anti-flat earth crew. But the 2 surveyors are the 2 main characters. The other guy just joined in on it afterwards. But the 2 surveyors, they absolutely fabricated evidence.
But geodetic surveying teaches them that there's diverging zeniths. That's
yeah, no,
is
not
it,
no.
is it them taught?
No, it's not. If you look at the process, that they used, you couldn't. This wasn't something you learn in geodetic. You don't learn this in surveying. This is just pure fabrication. There's no way around it. I don't want to go into all the details of it now because it'll be taking up time on the show. But they fabricated. Fabrication's fabrication.
Alrighty.
This can be an array of vectors, scalars, or other tensors, and it's represented by an n by n matrix. A vector is a type of tensor represented by an n by 1 matrix. In general relativity, the dimensions are 4, so the vectors are 4 by 1, and the tensors are 4 by 4 matrices. So this equation describes what John Wheeler said so succinctly about general.
Okay, I don't know about anybody else, but that's going to need breaking down for me. Adam, are you there?
Yeah. How do I put that? So if you look at what he's saying there, no, you got it on screen just to help me describe it a little bit. You know what a vector is? When we say you can draw a straight line and an arrow, it's going to have an angle that it's leaving the source from, and a magnitude of direction it's going in. Those vectors can be in 2, 3 dimensions normally. So if I could describe a way of traveling like as a vector in that 3-dimensional XYZ movement, what he appears to be saying there is, look, but because if we're doing this in Einsteinian core space, we're going to have 4 vectors, X, Y, Z, and T. And that's kind of what he's describing how they're calculating it, I think. It's a little bit past my level, this. It's ages since I've done vector stuff like that, you know, in 3D particularly, but that's all it is as far as I can see.
Okay, I mean, I'm none the wiser, Adam, so I don't know. It baffled me with bullshit, I won't lie.
But this just seems to be the principle of what they're doing. So whereas it with if you were describing this mathematically Newtonian-wise, you would just have X, Y, Z. But what he's saying here, look, we're working with Einsteinian, which has a 4th dimension, so it's X, Y, Z, and T as our vector components.
And the tensors are 4 by 4 matrices. So this equation describes what John Wheeler said so succinctly about general relativity. Space-time tells matter how to move, matter tells space-time how to curve.
Yeah, that's just a massive reification fallacy on steroids, isn't it?
That's also Neil deGrasse Tyson line too. Say the same thing.
Got that pretty little R value hidden in the K curvature too, just for anybody who's wondering about Einsteinian. It does use a R value.
So wait, they have voices that they could tell? They could tell things what to do? Wow, amazing.
Right side is the matter and energy, which tells space-time on the left side how to curve. In return, the left side, the curvature resulting in gravity, tells matter on the right side how to move. Essentially, what this equation shows is that matter and energy results in a curvature of space-time.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't do any of that. It doesn't show us anything in physicality, and we've debunked the R value it uses.
Which we perceive as gravity.
We don't perceive gravity. You haven't shown us time. You haven't shown us it bend. You've shown us maths, and you've shown us correlation between maths. One being out of date and non-existent mass attracting mass, the other being a 4th-dimensional space-time that bends. Yeah, this doesn't exist in physical reality. It doesn't exist beyond the maths.
Although this looks like one somewhat simple equation, it is actually 10 equations.
Oh, Oh, right.
And is very complicated mathematically. If we wrote down all the 10 equations fully, it would take up more than a page of text. A simple
So it's very complicated, ladies and gentlemen. Just try and bear in mind that it's extremely complicated.
Even for Adam?
It's
Again?
way beyond my level of bullshittery, mate. This is.
But do you want to just qualify why you're saying it's beyond your level of bullshittery? Because obviously, contextualize that for the audience, why it would matter whether it's beyond your level of bullshittery or not.
It's totally theoretical mathematics that they're going into now. They're having to balance these equations, which is where they feel joy if they manage to get them to match. But it's just like doctorate level theoretical physics, isn't it? Which is literally in the world of mathematics, of just dribbling down equations, showing one thing equally. And that to me, beyond me, because it's not dealing in reality. It is just total conceptualized theory on a board. It's the only place it exists.
simplified version is shown here. It is so complicated, in fact, that Einstein was skeptical about being able to solve them. There are papers written to this day on various solutions to these equations.
Solutions to equations, they're supposed to be descriptions using maths of reality. But yet we've got to solve problems within them. So it's just a little problem book. It's nothing to do with reality.
Let's take a closer look at what these equations are trying to say.
Couldn't you just not look closely at space-time? Because you're telling us to look closely at the equations and throwing up the image you had earlier, where I said this isn't showing me time, a concept, bending. It's just a graphic of some cross-hatching. But you're saying we're now going to look at the equations while you throw up this slide? No, you need to show me time. Then you need to show it bending.
Say, the equations describe the curvature of space-time by treating it as being flat at infinitesimally small distances. So you can consider that general relativity behaves like special relativity at these small distances with no bending or curvature. But overall curvature is taken into account. R mu nu is the Ricci curvature tensor. It tells us how space-time is deviating from flat. It tells...
What a load of nonsense. Space-time is not a fabric to deviate from flat. Time is a concept. Space-time is a conceptual medium, and how it bends within your tensor description is irrelevant to how physics actually takes place before our very eyes. You haven't shown us time.
It tells you how space-time curves.
Don't tell us, show us.
At a given point. The second term on the left side is composed of R, the scalar curvature. It tells you how much the space is changed at any given point.
Really? Well, just show us it. Show us time. Show us space-time. Then we can qualify how much it bends, or the cause and effect relationship you've claimed with gravity. We'll put it through the method. But first we need to see it. Oh, right, we can't, can we? It only exists in the maths.
Such that you know how to correctly measure distances. Little g, mu nu, is the metric tensor. It tells you the geometry and structure of spacetime. Together, this term...
But little g tells us the structure. Show us the structure of time. Show us time, a concept, with a structure. Don't show me maths tensors and say that that's telling me how it curves and its physical properties. No, definitely
that's all
not.
they've got. That's all they had. That's why we had that tensor explanation with those vectors in. That's what these grids represent, what happens to the space-time, how it repositions itself. If you put it through that little bit of mathematics, that's what's holding this together.
That's all that's holding it together, because we haven't got anything. Go on.
I just want to say, I may have said this before. I even said it in the chat. It's just amazing how all it takes is a guy that never had a haircut, needs a haircut, never shaved his mustache, trimmed his mustache, who might know some math, who can just have an epiphany and just say some things, and people go, oh, and they start documenting it and put him on a pedestal and they run with it. He could basically say that the Kool-Aid is really made with water when it's made out of jackass piss. I mean, and they would drink it and, and they would gargle with it and swallow it. It's just amazing. I don't know if it's because humanity is that dumb under a spell, but How does one man, I said this about Mickey Cuckoo, whatever his name is, how does one man or a bunch of men at a table tell you something that they can't prove, and everybody runs with it and falls on the sword for it and regurgitates it? I
He
don't
did
get
win
it.
the Nobel Prize.
I'll never get it. I don't get it.
Because it
I know.
doesn't
And
start
then Neil,
with us
and then
as
Neil,
men.
these things
That
Hold
add
on.
insult to injury, Neil, and got fellas. I'm sorry. These same people who want us to believe in these things that Nathan is requiring them to show us that they can never show us, that we're supposed to believe exist, they don't believe in the Most High Creator or that there's a God. They believe in the Big Bang. So that's, once again, that's the dented pot calling the kettle black. And I'll end on that.
Chocolate.
I was just going to say that that's why this education doesn't start when we are men. It starts when we are kids, right? That's the whole reason behind why this works. Because they start teaching us this crap at a time when we don't have a choice, really, and they've made that our reality.
Go on, whoever it was.
That's why.
That wanted to add on to that. It'll be the last word.
Just ask the question. Thanks, Nathan. Just ask the question. What have these what accolades have these men attained? What have they accomplished prior to being propped up as an authority? How did they make their mark in the world besides being propped up? And I'm sure writing books on the very topic that is in question right now. But what have they done prior to that, if anything?
As in, like, what have the Romans ever done for us? But with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, hit the PayPal link, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. And of course, a massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!